show any tells. And, I mean, we still joke to this day. His girlfriend at the time was not allowed to ride in the car with him on game days.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever heard these stories.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I love it.
One time, she needed a ride, and he made her like duck in the back seat, and like he couldn't. On game days, she would tell a story. She's like, I get in a fight with Paul. All I got to do is go up the stairs, because on game days, Paul will not walk up a set of stairs.
Right.
And Halsey, you probably remember, or Hal, you know this, that you remember in the Sutton Place in St. Paul, like we would always eat downstairs. He wouldn't do the stairs. Like it was like one set of stairs coming down to go and have a meal. He would take the elevator. And I'm like, oh my God, like he had such a routine. And I mean, I would have quit hockey. If I had to do a quarter of what he did, I would have just said, hey, you know what, Mom and Dad, this is not fun. And, I'll be a police officer.
Totally exhausting. The
Oh.
finger stretchers, right? I've heard about the finger stretchers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, finger stretches. And on the clock, it's to a T. It's like, I remember he stands up, stretches, puts his jock on, and he's looking at the clock. Like it's like, and all the new guys that would get traded, I'd be like bumping him in the locker room. I'm like, watch this. And they're like, watch what? I'm like, he's going to stand. I would give it like word for word. He's going to stand up. He's going to stretch the front of his jock. Then he's going to like kind of go down on his knees with both hands. And the guys would like die laughing. They're like, so if he wasn't as good as he was, I would have ripped on him. I would have whenever I played, I didn't care who you were. Like Luongo would be like at the poker table in Florida. The guys like knew that I'd rip on anybody. I didn't care. I was a tough guy. I can do whatever I want.
Right.
And Louis would be like, okay, it's $100 per guy and all this. And I'd go, Louis, how much money did you just put in? He's like, $100. I go, why do you make all the rules, dude? I go, if anything, the only thing you should be doing is because you're the captain of this team and you're making 60 million more than the rest of us. You should just be buying the team dinners. That's your job right now as a captain. You pay for the team dinners, keep us gelled as a group, and he'd like lose his shit, But,
well, you had a different cast of characters because correct me if was that the same year Radulov came in?
oh, dude, Radulov. Oh my God. So Radulov and me, like, nobody could hang. Me and like, I have a lot of energy. I'm like ADHD. As soon as we land, everybody's like taking a game day nap. I'm over there like on game days, cutting the grass in my backyard. Like I know I had one thing to do. I had to hit whoever was on the ice and fight whoever was the toughest guy, And Radulov comes in and he's like, Disneyland. When we go to California, he's like, Disneyland. I'm like, what do you mean Disneyland? And he wanted to go to Disneyland. We play the next day. So here I am. I'm taking this guy that's from Russia, that's obviously played, juniors, and helping him get his driver's license. I wrote his driver's license test for him to get his driver's license because he had no clue any of these words. Like, it was just an absolute gong show, but he was so, so much energy. And if you guys watch that highlight, when Arnott scores that playoff goal, he goes in, like, jumps up because he's so excited, turnbuckles Arnott's head. He gets concussed, and I think that's where our playoffs kind of turned. Right. We lost Arnie, when it was our year to win it because Radulov couldn't hold back from seeing him score that goal,
Yeah, I remember that. That was a crazy play. And then the year before that, of course, the big trade that really took the NHL by storm, and Peter Forsberg on his way to the Nashville Predators, coming in from the Philadelphia Flyers. What do you remember about like the first time that you saw Peter Forsberg walk through the door and just like the aura that he brought to that group? I mean, you already had Paul Kariya, you already had a really good team, obviously, but adding a Hall of Famer like Peter Forsberg to that group.
So Peter, to me, like, the way he played the game and the way how skilled he was, like, I had so much respect for him. So I kind of had a little background story with him. I go to Sweden to work on my skills, right? I'm 20 years old. My agent's like, you are going to Sweden, to Örnsköldsvik, where Peter's from, to work with his skating coach in like Sweden, right? So I'm kind of heading to Sweden. Well, we find out that Peter's doing this golf tournament because he just opened up his new course or whatever. So I'm supposed to go there and work with like Zetterberg's guy, Datsuk's, Thomas Storm was his name. And work on all these things. Well, I did that for like 1 or 2 days. And then Peter ends up bringing me out to his golf course event where I later ended up meeting all the founders of Crocs. I don't know if you guys remember the shoes Crocs.
Oh, yeah.
Well, George Bodecker and Tommy Duran were the founders, brought Peter in. So here I am trying to work on my skill. Next thing you know, I'm golfing on Peter's course. He brought me to come play with the Icebreakers, which was the traveling Olympic team with like Sandstrom and Forsberg, Naslund, like all the guys, Timonen, Tumanen, whatever, all these guys. So I start the game. I don't even know what they're saying. I'm on a line with Forsberg and Naslund. My first shift, I blow up this kid, my biggest hit of my career, because the guy has his head down, and they're like, Darce, no, you can't hit him here. You're not the same game, you know? So
hey, that's a skill. You're working on your skills.
Hey, it is. So then when Peter gets traded to us, I end up saying, listen, Yannick Perreault lives across the street from me in Franklin. Peter, you're going to live in this house. So Peter ended up living across the street from me in Nashville. And we just had so much fun, just like at night hanging out. And every time you knew there was an empty bottle of wine at my house that said Camus, like 1994, and it was over $500, you knew Peter was at my house.
Now, I do have to ask you, because I've been told by my good buddy Darren McFarland, who you used to do a radio show with here in Nashville, by the way, as well, that Peter approached you with the opportunity to invest in Crocs. Is that true? Judging by your reaction, I'm going to say it is true.
I would have made more money in the Crocs at the time than playing hockey 10 times.
Oh, yeah.
So these things, remember the shoes were so ugly? I came home with a hockey bag full of the orange Crocs and all these different shoes. They just sent me home with all this. And then 5 years later, to rub it in for my wedding, they sent a garage full of Crocs for everybody that came to my wedding. So everybody was laughing. They're like, this is the coolest thing. I go, you know what? It is the coolest thing, but it could have been really, a lot more cooler had I invested in Crocs. But
that wedding could have been a lot cooler.
Exactly.
That's right.
And you know what? Talk about missed opportunities. I don't know if you guys remember Lululemon.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm in Vancouver in 08, 09, and this guy's bringing us to his factory all the time. And we're like wearing these boxers. Nobody even knows what it is. And that was Chip Wilson, who was really good friends and bought Marcus Naslund's house. And, there was opportunities there too. We all just the opportunities that I got in, like, usually lose money. So that's where, if you're investing, just do the opportunity.
That's right. We are off and running here on Smashville Live, ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley alongside Hal Gill and former Nashville Predator Darcy Hordichuk. We'll be right back to continue the conversation here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Robby Stanley. It's just a really bad look when it's your football team that's really the ones being selfish here. Joe Rexrode. Brady skirting the rules? No. Shocked face, clutch my pearls. Get your morning started with Robby and Rexrode every weekday from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
By now, your bracket is toast, but Ryan Porth here to tell you that Twin Spires has an offer where you can double your money if any team hits a three-pointer this weekend. Sign up now at Twin Spires with code PRIMETIME for the Twin Spires Sportsbooks Primetime Play and get exclusive plus 100 odds on any team to make one three-pointer in the men's semifinals Saturday night. Void where prohibited. Terms and conditions visit twinspires.com. Offer valid for new players only up to a max bet of $25. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. For help with a gambling problem, call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Free beer. Do we have your attention now? Because every Friday, Robby and Rexrode, Darren, Donick, and Chase, and Stillman and Company will be giving away a $25 gift card during their show to Bavarian Beer House, Nashville's authentic Munich-style beer house at Opry Mills Mall.
Is your performance in the bedroom not what it used to be? Do you take pills for erectile dysfunction, but they just don't work that well? Or perhaps give you side effects like headaches and more? Or do they not work at all, and you've just given up hope? This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if you're experiencing some or all of these things, you should probably make an appointment with us. Your sexual health has a lot to do with your confidence, your positivity, your energy, and most assuredly your relationship. But far too many men suffer far too long before seeking help for ED. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we're experts in treating these types of conditions. It's all we do. We use proven treatment protocols and treatment combinations that work in nearly 90% of men. So make your appointment today. For just $99, you'll get a consult, blood work, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call us today at 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Contact your doctor if an erection lasts more than 4 hours. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra, individual results vary.
So many times guests come in with pictures from Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook and are amazed that we have those rings in stock.
David Cooper, Vice President at Genesis Diamonds, talking about how Genesis stays on the cutting edge.
We pride ourselves of staying ahead of the curve of fashion and seeking what's new, what's hot all over the world, what's hot all over the internet, and having that in stock for you, where other stores are still chasing styles that were cool maybe 5 or 10 years ago.
Why settle for an outdated style or a stale design? Make the switch to Genesis and get the ring of her dreams with over 4,000 cutting-edge choices from the top bridal designers in the world.
We have the designer looks that you see everywhere in stock in a variety of metals, a variety of sizes and shapes, and a variety of budgets, so every customer can have exactly what they want.
Genesis Diamonds, where no compromise is ever necessary.
We are so honored and proud that so many people have made the switch to Genesis Diamonds and not only told their friends about Genesis, but have brought their friends to Genesis.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Grain and Berry is Nashville's superfood cafe, where healthy meets delicious. From beautiful acai bowls and freshly pressed juices to hearty avocado toasts and flatbreads, Grain and Berry will make your taste buds happy. Go to theGameNashville.com right now to get half off a $20 gift card.
Hey, this is Colton Sissons, and this is Smashville.
Left side, Sissons to the net. He scores! Beautiful delay, and the Predators take it in overtime.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
This is Smashville Live.
Welcome back in, Smashville Live here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, presented by New Amsterdam Vodka, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, and Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue. Robby Stanley here alongside Hal Gill, Preds radio analyst, and pleased to be joined today here on the show by former Nashville Predator Darcy Hordichuk, and we are streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, also on the radio as well. So lots of different places that you can watch this show and view this show, and having a lot of fun right now with Darcy Hordichuk. Darcy, I'm interested to get your opinion now, because obviously the game has changed a little bit since Hal played, since you played. And I think back to really, I guess back to 2014, 15, back when Pittsburgh started to make their runs towards winning Stanley Cups. The game has become so much more about skill and speed. There's not as much physicality, which a lot of fans like, but a lot of fans that have watched hockey for a long time also miss, I think, the physical aspect of the game and how it's not the same as it used to be. As you kind of evaluate the state of the NHL right now when you're watching, what do you think of it? What do you think of the state of the game right now in today's NHL?
You know, I think the state of the game is great. I think that markets, you know, like Arizona, certain markets that maybe are struggling, like Florida, to draw in some fans. I think that's, you know, ironically, got to know the new ownership group here in Phoenix, and I was sitting in the suite with them the other day watching him play Minnesota, and it's 5-1, and it's me, Doan, the new owner, and the CEO and his son, and he's just like losing it in, you know, because he's like, why isn't anybody doing anything? Why isn't anybody hitting him? You know, we're down 5-1, you know, and it was so fun to see this new ownership, and he's like, I got to talk to Talks after the game. Like, I want some grit. I want some sandpaper. Like, it was dead. Every goal, it was like quiet in the building, obviously because of COVID, but it just, that whole atmosphere was just nothing to cheer about, you know? So, you know, it's still nice to see the Furlans around and the Luciches, you know, because that's, people still want to see it and they want to, you know, but I think with all the different liabilities and the pressure on the league, and every time I got suspended, I remember with that Avery we were just talking about with Korea, they waited to see how much publicity it got on TV. And when it hit Good Morning America, it went from me probably getting maybe one game to all of a sudden I was up against like 5 games, because it was like, oh my God, look how crazy this sport is. And then they're like, oh, we got to suspend this guy. You know, we got to send the message. We don't believe in this. Meanwhile, they probably sold, you know, 1,000 Hordichuk jerseys after that. And, you know, all of a sudden I got 10 more fans after that game. But, you know, it is what it is. And, unfortunately, certain guys that I've been hanging out with this Kent Johnson. He's supposed to go in the top 10 in the NHL. And we're just talking about, like, it's so nice to know you have that enforcer, but you don't have that nowadays, where you can go to the guy. Like Taylor Hall used to come up all the time and be like, Darth, this guy's slashing me. And then he's like, oh, this guy hit me. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll watch it. Don't worry. I'll let him know. And then it wouldn't happen the rest of the game. Right. So fans didn't really understand, like, whoever was against it. I always say it's like having a gun next to your bed. And they're like, what are you talking about? It's like having a gun next to your bed. I'm like, you don't have to use it, but just knowing it's there, if something ever bad did happen, it gives you that confidence. And I was like that gun on the ice. I was the guy that, fought the same guys all the time, not because I wanted to, but because earlier in that shift, Sullivan got his head taken off or whatever. And Hal was, just seeing a guy like Hal on the ice with that much size, you would tone it down that game because you didn't want to answer the bell. And you're one punch away from getting your career ended by a guy like Hal, if you ran around, and you did that. So you tone it down for teams like that, or like Stu Grimson when you played Nashville, or, at least I did. And, but.
Well, I remember now. I'll ask you your thoughts on whether the players can police themselves, because I feel like some of these guys will pick someone clean and run someone, and they get fined or they get suspended for a few games. I feel like that's a big difference between getting that and punched in the face. Like if I went after Paul Kariya and gave him a whack on the hand or slashed him or jacked him up from behind, I knew I'd get down like they're waiting for you to come over the top, or Toots to run me, you knew something was going to happen. So, if I was going to do it, it was a ballsy move on my part, and I'd have to face it. Now, go ahead, find me a little bit of money. I'm still going to make some money. Now, what are your thoughts on that? Now moving away from that, where the refs and the league really have to protect the players.
Oh, I think it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Listen, you're asking the wrong guy. You know what I mean? I am like totally against this movement. Like, throw that guy in the fourth line that, still can play. We need more guys like Wilson in the league, guys that hold people accountable, guys that, but for some reason there's so much pushback because the big sponsors who pay all the bills and, hold all the power are like, oh, no, we don't want to see that. That's bad. Well, guess what? When you're on a road trip and you're in a bar and your buddy doesn't come to your rescue and you're getting, beat on all the time, you're going to all of a sudden say, well, whoa, you just got to educate these people that are making the decisions that have all the power. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And thank God we hit it when we did it, Hal, because there were some great years that, every day they're like, why didn't you just fight Peros? And I was like, because there's 5 guys left in the league to fight, and I got to at least show some justification, why we're fighting. It was like, he's like, yes, we got to go. And I'm like, yeah, we got to go.
Well, now that it's all said and done, you had a great career. Do you think the mental toll, the anxiety of going through that? I found it was tough. Like if I knew I was going to go out there and I had to fight, those games. So you're like, oh boy, I'm going to have to face the music, and it's going to happen early. And, I personally had the late night sweats, and I'm sitting in bed going, oh God, I'm playing Joey Koster tomorrow night, and I know he's going to come out and elbow me in my ear and jump at me, and I'm going to have to face the music. That got to me. That I won't lie to you. That got to me. I feel like you kind of liked it. I played with Big Earn, Brian McGrattan. He loved it. He was.
There's one guy that I think likes it, and that's him. There's one guy that can truly say that he wasn't scared and he didn't care. But hey, we all went through. It was like, so here was my move. Everybody's like, Darce, were you like on drugs when you played? Like, why were you so crazy? I had to come out during warm-ups, and I would call guys out. I'm like,
I was there. I remember.
Oh, yeah. I'd be like, we're going first shift. And they're like, why? I'm like, I know what you did last game. Because I wanted to see if I could play the rest of the game and I can let it go. And most of the guys would be like, Hordy, I got a bad hand. Hordy, no. I did it to Belak. You'll love this one. I go, Beeler, who do you want? Me or Rippin? First shift. And he goes, either one. I'm like, oh, we'll tell you when we're going to go. Don't tell me what, So it was this whole mental game. And it was the anxiety, What's hard is trying to make $100,000 a year now when I got to sit on the bench and have to, a couple nights sleeping. That's,
right.
The real world's hard. But you know what? It's been the best thing ever, is just kind of being done with the game and, having that experience. But yet now, like, every day, the weekends mean something. You hunt what you eat. And I always tell parents, be careful what you wish for, like everybody's like, oh my God, I want little Johnny to play in the NHL. This is the most incredible thing. And I said, it is, but just imagine at some point your carpet's going to get ripped out from underneath you, and all those great restaurants you ate at and all those private jets turn into Southwest and turn into this. And some people have a tough time coming back to reality. For me, I wasn't supposed to play one game in the NHL. Every year, if you ask guys that played with me, I was like, what kind of business could I start? And then it would go to 2 years. And like Tanner Glass is my roommate. And I'm like, Tanner, we got to think of something. Like, I don't know if we're going to play next year. And then it was like 3 years and then 4 years. And then all of a sudden I was like, wow, you know what I mean? So, it's all perspective. Life is perspective, and the journey is perspective. And no matter what you have in life, we always think the grass is green on the other side. And that's not always the case.
Very
Robby,
well
just so you know, he's not telling one bit of a lie. He would be in warm up. He'd be yelling, and Giller, I'm coming for you. I'm gonna jump you. You don't know when it's coming, but it's coming. And I won't lie to you. I was going like, hey, I'm gonna take it easy. I tell the skill guys, I got you tonight. I'm matching up here against your line. Let's play a good hard game here. Let's keep it clean, okay, guys? Let's keep it clean.
Right. Absolutely. I don't doubt that for a second.
And here's the reality. How stupid of me to ever say that to Hal. I am one punch away from getting knocked out in front of 17,000 fans and my career done. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Chuck Liddell, who was invincible, he's been knocked out more than he's knocked out people. Like, sure. At some point it's coming. You just, I had a big faith moment in life where I'm like, okay, God, hey, if this is the deal, what am I supposed to do? I'm not even supposed to be here. When they called me up, I've never even watched an NHL game live before. I paid a ticket to watch Tampa Bay play Toronto when I was in Orlando, my first NHL game ever, to see, remember Fredrickson, the big guy Fredrickson?
Oh, yeah.
Like Ty Domi. I went to that game just to see it, and I was like, oh my God. I get called up 5 months later, and they're like, hey, Darce, just so you know, you're going to be the tough guy. I'm like, I'm 20 years old. I'm used to fighting kids 16, 18 years old. I can't do this. What do you mean? Like, I'm supposed to be the tough guy. And I remember Odgers, and he's like, Darce, first shift of the game, just get your feet wet. Like, just go out there and just make a play. And I'm like watching fight videos of every guy. And it was Montreal, the first game, right? I'm 20 years old. I hop on the ice. Petrov comes around the net. It was the biggest hit of my career. It was on every Gatorade commercial. And it was the craziest thing that happened, right? So then I back up in a corner. I start shaking my gloves, and nobody wanted to fight. Montreal really didn't have anybody except for Quintel. So I was like, whew. And then all of a sudden we get ready to play. I bought myself a game because in the stands, it was like Hordichuk. And all of a sudden I was like, people were like, who is this guy? I was supposed to be down, sent down. And I'm like, I made more in this game than I did in the whole month in the minors, I'm like, I can do this. I'm like, who do I got to fight next? Try to fight it the next game on Ty Domi. We're playing like Toronto a few games in. Right off the draw, I go and spear Tygo. We're going. Like, I let everybody in the building know. All my buddies went to Costco, bought the TV to take back the next day because they think I'm going to fight Ty Domi. He wouldn't fight either because he's like, why am I going to fight this young rookie coming up? He has no reputation. I've got everything to lose. So it became this holy crap. So then I was like, what the heck's going on? And finally, Chara stepped up. I fought Chara and Steve Webb. And then all of a sudden, guys are like, okay, now it's on. I got to get to Proby. And,
right.
It just became this, and I don't know, I talk too much. But so here's a funny story about Proby. So I'm like, I never ever did this. And I hated guys that did this. But I was like watching Proby skate up and down the ice. And I'm like, okay, I'm scared to death of this guy because every fight video, he's beat the crap out of everybody. But I'm like, he's kind of at the end of his career. I'm going to set the stage, like I can fight this guy. So I kind of chase him down. He's probably a little bit tired, and I give him the old like whack on the knees, like a little bit disrespectful. And I go, let's go. And he's like, hey, I'm kind of tired. I'm like, perfect, done. I start spinning away. I'm like, I did my job. Looking, he doesn't want to fight. And he's like, kid, let's go. And I'm like, oh my God, Bobby Prower. So I start, you can see in the video, I ragdolled him so bad, pushing and pulling, but I was scared to really throw a punch at him because I'm like, this is like surreal. This is like, oh my God. Right. But I'm like, not really. And then all of a sudden the penalty box, I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to call my buddies. I won this fight. Hockeyfights.com is going to say, I killed him. I'm in the penalty box. And all of a sudden I hear, you're dead. I'm like, no, that was good. We're good, right? We're good. And I'm acting like I don't even see him. And all of a sudden, like, I get on the ice and he like literally tries to pin me up against the glass and just starts stroking on me. And I think I almost died, but
that's awesome.
But, you're not alone. I heard the same story. Kenny Belanger, you remember Kenny?
Oh, Kenny, yeah, LA Kings.
He went after Proby, beat him up, and I said, man, that was awesome in between periods. And he's shaking, and I was like, why are you shaking? He goes, because I have to do that again. Like no one beats Proby twice. And you have to respect him, right? That's what a lot of people don't understand. There's a respect factor. You owe it to him, right? To go again, right?
100%. Yeah. No, I mean, even how I made the Atlanta Thrashers, I was in the bathroom. If you ever heard this story, I was literally in the bathroom and I timed it when Denny Lambera, I don't know if you remember that name. Denny Lambera went in the restroom and it's the rookie squad. Remember how we used to do the rookie squads and we were all there for the meal money because we made $500 for the week or whatever. So I go and I time it when he's taking a leak and I go, Mr. Lambert, do you mind if we fight? And he looks at me and he's kind of like, is this guy for real? I'm going to the bathroom, but I didn't want to be the guy coming to camp. I'm, he's trying to provide for his family. I'm a young guy coming up and I didn't even make it on the ice. And the coach is like, Darcy, you're starting. And he was on the ice waiting for me at the draw. And because of that opportunity, I ended up making the team basically 6 months later. And because Denny wanted, give me a chance, like some guy gave him a chance. So you respect that, and that's why, everybody thinks we're so gruesome and violent. And the only time you see, most tough guys try to take advantage of a guy at the bottom of the pile is because he did it to you the game before. Right. Otherwise, it's like, it's done after the game. Hey, I respect you. Are we going to hang out? Maybe, but probably not.
We're off and running here on Smashville Live, ESPN 102.5 The Game. By the way, make sure you're tuning in on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook, or at thegamenashville.com for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see the Nashville Predators take on the Dallas Stars tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena. Be looking for the keyword. You've got to be watching to see the keyword. So make sure you're checking us out on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch, or at thegamenashville.com. We'll be right back. One last segment with Darcy Hordichuk here on Smashville Live, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From all-day talk, the good shooters, you notice, because their shot looks different. The puck just seems to be on the goalie quicker. To the biggest games.
Open man is Devontae Smith, touchdown.
Nashville's best sports talk is always at your fingertips. Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Craig Bobis. Temperatures will continue to fall. And then overnight tonight, we're talking about widespread frost. Low temperature near 30 degrees. Not a warm day for your Thursday. Plenty of sunshine. The highest top out in the upper 40s to near 50 at best.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the happy face truck today.
Famous comedian George Burns once said, "I love to sing and I love to drink scotch. Most people would rather hear me drink scotch." Well, I love scotch too, George, and that's why I'm heading on over to Red Spirits and Wine for Red's annual Malt Madness sale. Throughout the entire month of March, every bottle of scotch at Red will receive a 10% discount upon purchase. Doesn't matter what the brand, if it's scotch, it's 10% off. Red's Cracker Jack crew has some bona fide scotch lovers, and every year they want to spread that love and celebrate scotch whiskey. Malt Madness at Red is a great time to explore something new or pick up that special bottle you've been eyeballing. Red Spirits and Wine is my favorite adult beverage emporium, and there's no sense going elsewhere. So stop in for Malt Madness this month and lasso up some great scotch at a 10% discount. Red Spirits and Wine, the corner of Highway 70 South and Old Hickory Boulevard.
Business is growing at Family Leisure, and they're now hiring for all positions: sales, service advisors, installation coordinators, warehouse, delivery personnel, and construction crew members. No experience necessary. They will train you. Positions start at $13 to $15 per hour. Many positions pay more on salary. Benefits include health and dental insurance and vacation pay. These are not seasonal positions, but permanent full-time careers at Family Leisure. Apply in person Monday through Friday from 10 to 5 at the Antioch location, or send your resume to careers@familyleisure-nashville.com.
Hey, Jared Stillman here to tell you about my most recent experience with moving. Everybody, including me, hates moving. Well, that was until I found my friends at TriStar Moving. That's right. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service through the entire process. There's a reason their motto is TriStar Moving with 5-star service. Everything was taken care of, from covering the floors, banisters, railings, the front door, the threshold, the door itself. And they wrapped and protected all of the furniture in my house and put all the TVs, you know I got a lot of them, in protective boxes. They even offer storage services in case you need a safe place to store your stuff. They do it all. The owners, Garrett and Robert, are true Nashvillians, and they care about helping the community in any way they can. So if you're in need of a move, give my friends at TriStar Moving a call at 615-640-1219 or visit their website, nashvillemoving.org/radio. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, or visit them at nashvillemoving.org/radio and tell them Jared Stillman sent you for 5% off your entire move.
From Brentwood to Donaldson.
From a fantasy perspective, he is absolute gold.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Smashville Live.
Welcome back in Smashville Live here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, presented by New Amsterdam Vodka, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, and Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue. Robby Stanley alongside Hal Gill and former Nashville Predator Darcy Hordichuk. This has been an incredible show. Lots of fun going down memory lane with Darcy Hordichuk. Darcy, we've got just a few minutes left. I want to leave you by asking you this. As you think back on your career, your time in Nashville, just the entire picture, what stands out to you the most? What are you most proud of about your career?
You know, I think just maybe the interaction with the fans and having a radio show there and just kind of helping grow the game. At that time, you know, we were kind of that early, finally, I think we were one of the more successful teams that kind of came through that era and, you know, helped kind of get fans addicted to the game. But yeah, I think it's just, you know, trying to get back to the community and help out, you know, the children's hospitals, and what a great job, you know, the whole organization did to, you know, get us involved in the community and try to grow the game, you know?
Yeah, it was awesome. And I think y'all deserve a lot of credit for that. Darcy, we really appreciated you taking time to join us here today on the show. It's been so much fun going down memory lane. And I know from your vantage point, like that was kind of the first part of the Predators fan base. They went from an expansion phase to a playoff phase, and now what we see today with a run a couple years ago to the Stanley Cup final, and just fans after fans pouring out on the city streets. You were a fan favorite. You were a part of that here as well. So it's been an honor to have you here on the show. And we really appreciate you taking time to join us here today.
Anytime. And you know, it's ironic how all of a sudden, you know, Lee Rice has become a good friend, Chase Rice. We do this golf tournament in Arizona called the Waste Management Phoenix Open. It's the biggest golf tournament in the world. And everybody keeps asking, after the golf tournament, we have what's called the Bird's Nest. And it's some of the biggest acts, Jake Owens, all these country singers. And they're like, how do you get all these people? And I'm like, dude, I played in Nashville. My roommate was Dave Kelly Pickler. Like, anybody we need access to, I've got to know the writers and this.
Right.
And, you know, you have that whole relationship. And, you know, to live in Nashville and have that in your back door is pretty special. So, yeah, thanks again, you guys.
Absolutely. Skillsy?
It's a shame we only have an hour with you, bud.
I know, man. We literally could have done a 5-hour show with Darcy Hordichuk. So enjoyed this edition of Smashville Live. If you missed it, you can check it out on thegamenashville.com. It'll be up and running for you right there. Smashville Live, presented by New Amsterdam Vodka, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, and Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue. For Darcy Hordichuk, for Hal Gill, this is Robby Stanley. Hope everybody has a great rest of the night. The Predators back in action tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena. They'll be taking on the Dallas Stars, looking to extend their winning streak to 7 games, back in a playoff spot in the Central Division, playing the best hockey they've played all season long. So that coming up tomorrow night at Bridgestone Arena. For Hal Gill and Darcy Hordichuk, this is Robby Stanley. Slapshot Radio coming up next. This is ESPN 102.5.